Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of the One Thing Guy. For the next about 20 minutes, I'm going to talk about something or one thing that's hopefully going to help you to make everything in your life easier or just unnecessary. What I want to talk about today is something that I've come to discover with a lot of clients that I've been speaking with. Setting goals, and I've been helping them with setting goals, is something that they're now starting to master. They're now starting to get to that point where the clarity of the goal has become like having a conversation or knowing their name. But the challenge that's now coming in, and it's becoming a struggle, is to actually follow through with the daily activities to actually achieve that particular goal. Now, within the one thing, we actually use a tool. It's a tool called the 411. And this is a tool that really helps you to have a relationship with your particular goal. So, before I get into the tips that I want to share with you, I want to find out from you. You've set a goal and you've kind of thought it's a challenge to actually achieve that goal. Are you using any tools? Have you used any tools? Or are you being held accountable or self accountable to try and achieve those goals? How's that going for you? For many of the clients that I speak with, when they say, I can hold myself self accountable to achieving that particular goal, when I've actually found the date of when it's supposed to be due and I have that conversation with them, there's always, not everyone, but there's always a level of excuses that comes out. Well, I had to do this, and oh, this came into my life, and this I hear over and over again. And it's this struggle of actually doing those daily activities that actually prevents us from achieving those goals. So that's what I want to share with you today is a very simple tool that you can actually implement to help you to achieve these particular goals. Now, it's all about execution. That's all it is. You've just got to execute on a daily basis and make sure that it's in alignment to achieving that particular goal. Now, I always have a question that always comes out, and the question is, does your current calendar truly show what matters, or does it just show what feels urgent? So, does your current calendar truly show what matters, or does it show what feels urgent? Now, the reason why I ask that question is our calendar is so, so important. Without our calendar, we're relying on memory. So the calendar is an extremely important part of this journey. Whether it's a paper diary or whether it's a digital calendar, it is extremely important for you to know exactly what you're doing every single day. But then it goes, well, how do I actually get the right activity into the calendar in the first place? Well, that is exactly what I'm going to share with you now. There's 3 tips that I will share with you that's going to help you to break down from that goal that you just want to achieve right down to these daily actions that you can then hold or be held accountable to make sure that you're on alignment. So, the first tip, and I shared it right up front, it's using a tool called a 411. Now, I know that you're going, I've never heard of this. Or maybe you're saying, yes, I have heard of it. Well, I'm going to explain it to you in such a simple way that you're going to go, oh, that makes sense. And that's exactly what we want to do. So, tip number 1, it's actually using a 411 to bridge the gap between your goals and your daily action. So, I want you to think of this. In this hand is my goal. In this hand is the daily actions. And what connects? That's the 411 that gives us that roadmap, that alignment. So let me explain the 411 to you. And it's very straightforward and simple. When you're looking at a 411, well, there's 3 letters, 3 numbers, 411, which means that there's 3 different sections within this particular document. Now, you can use a Google Sheet or a Excel spreadsheet, or you can even put it on a piece of paper and just break your page down into 3 sections. In the top section is where we'll actually detail that goal that we've got clarity around. That's the goal that you know what you're wanting to achieve, and please make sure that it's time bound. That's where it sits in that very first block. And the reason why it sits there is because when you pick the page up for the first time, we always read top down. We will see that goal. It will remind us every single day. So that's the first area. The second, which sits in the middle, is the month. And that's really what we need to look at. The month is call it a milestone. What do we need to achieve at the end of this month to be on track to achieving that goal, which is in the first block? So the second block is a milestone, and it's a monthly milestone. It's what we need to achieve at the end of this particular month. Now, we've got the first block, which is the last one. We've got the second block, which is the second one. And then it starts with a 4. Well, on average, there's 4 weeks in a month. And the 4 resembles the weeks that go in the month. So that is your third block. Now, do bear in mind, every week, that block could change because it could be a task, and I'm going to share what it is now. It could be something in week 1 that you need to do, but then you accomplish it. In week 2, it could be something different. So let me just give this down. First block, the goal. Second block, the monthly milestone. The third block is that activity that you're going to do in the week. Now, that activity needs to be something that you're going to physically do, something that's not just an idea of what you're going to do. It's something that you're going to do in the week. And it could be something that even breaks it further. Well, on a Monday, I need to do this. On a Tuesday, I need to do this. On a Wednesday, I need to do this. You can detail that down in your weekly. Now, what is so important about this particular tool, the 411, everything is on one page. Everything is in front of you. When you pick up that page, you can see the goal. You can see, at the end of the month, I need to be here. And then you got your weekly, and you know exactly what to do. Now, it's from that weekly that you're going to basically put it into your calendar. That's how we start to break it down. We're reverse engineering it. Goal to a milestone to an activity. Now, in the beginning, it might seem like a bit of a challenge to do. But as you start going deeper and deeper and using this on a regular basis, you're going to start seeing how the activities in the week helps you to start having that relationship, because you hit a milestone, to achieving your particular goal. So that's the very first tool tip that I want to share with you, is use the 411 as I've described it. Take a piece of paper. You can use Google Sheets or you can use an Excel worksheet. Break it down to 3 sections. The top, write the goal. The second, write the milestone that you need to achieve at the end of the month. And the third, that's the activities that you're going to do in that particular week. So that's the first tip that I want to share with you. The second tip actually builds on it, by the way. The second tip, and I've seen this happen so many times, we can get the goal written down. Fantastic. We can get the monthly milestones written down. Brilliant. But when it comes down to that weekly activity, the list doesn't just start with maybe 1 or 2 activities. Suddenly, it starts getting up to about 10 and 15 and 20 different activities, and it starts becoming a to-do list. The second tip is to move from a to-do list to a success list. So how do we do that? Well, once we've actually started to write down all those items that we need to do, those activities in the week, we need to quickly refine it. We actually look at that and say, should I do this activity or could I do this activity? You see, a should says, yes, if I do this, it will help me to achieve that monthly milestone. A could means, well, I could do it this week, but I could also do it next week, or I could delete it altogether. It gives you too many options. Remove it. We're only looking for success items. We're looking for activities that will get you closer to that monthly milestone. So any of the could do items, we remove them. They don't go onto the 411. They don't go onto our list. In fact, once we've completed all and we've ticked off our monthly milestone and we know that we're heading right towards our goal, then we start looking at the could do items as extras if you really want them. But I can tell you, when you do your should do, those items that are really getting you forward, everything else becomes easier or unnecessary. Underline that, unnecessary. So make sure. So the second tip is take these to-do lists and convert them into success lists, because it's the success list that helps you to identify getting you closer to your particular goals. Then the third tip, because as we start going through all of this in our life, we tend to forget, as much as we've got that particular 411, we've got that tool in front of us, we tend to forget it 1 or 2 days, and then 1 or 2 days becomes a week, and then it just disappears altogether. And the reason why it just disappears is we weren't actually held accountable, and we weren't planning and using it actively. It just became another piece of paper on your desk. So what we need to do, the third tip, is we need to create this rhythm every single week to have a planning session, a time where we sit down for, call it 20 minutes. We have a look at our 411. We have a look at the goal and go, yes, that goal's still relevant. We look at that monthly milestone and saying, am I getting closer, or whoa, I'm way off? We then start to review those weekly activities. What was working? What was not working? Because we don't want to repeat what doesn't work. We want to do what does work. When we can see those items that does work, we either want to repeat it or we want to improve on it. Those items that are not working, we want to remove them, change them, alter them, or delete them altogether. We want to basically have a time in the week that we review the actual 411. Now, what's so powerful about doing a review is it actually reminds you where you're going. It pulls everything top of mind. And more importantly, it actually helps you to get energized for the week ahead. So when should you do it? Well, typically, the general clients that I work with, they like to do it on a Friday morning because things are really top of mind. Friday afternoon, they're exhausted. Saturday, Sunday, well, they're doing family time. And Monday morning, well, we've just had a weekend of noise and they have this overpowering barrage of emails that come through and these messages that come through. So we found the magical sweet spot on a Friday morning so we can do a quick review of the week that's just passed, something that is top of mind. Now, what makes it even more powerful, if you're working in an environment where there's a number of you, you can actually schedule a time where you all come together. You all bring your 411s and you sit down together and say, hey, how was your week? Tell us about it. What worked? What didn't work? And just by talking to somebody else, you're actually going to make yourself more aware. You will also hear the comments from others where they say, hey, I tried that, that didn't work. Or I tried that, that really worked. And you're thinking, now that's how I can change what I'm doing to get closer and closer to achieving that particular goal. So set that time and have it as a weekly cadence where you're planning and prepping and going through that 411 so that it's ready for the week ahead. Even better is doing it in a group environment. It creates a culture where of a supportive, collaborative nature that people actually enjoy. Might feel awkward in the beginning, but I can tell you now, when you start sharing your successes and you start hearing the successes of people that are saying, you know what? I thought it would take me 12 months to do this. I've done it in 6. That starts to motivate you and it gives you that inspiration to start moving forward. But the big thing about what I wanted to share with you today with this 411, it's not about another tool that's just going to be a miracle tool. It's actually a tool that helps you to have that relationship with your goal. You can visualize it. You can see it. In fact, you can see what will work and what won't work just by completing it. So make sure that you actually embrace it. Now, if you've got any questions, you're more than welcome to reach out to me. And you'll see at the bottom of this actual screen, there's a little ticker and it's got an email address, a website address, not an email, a website. You can go to my website, stuarthislop.com, and at the top corner, you'll see there's a little button that says book a clarity call. Because if you're not too sure, just book the call. I will sit down, I'll spend 30 minutes with you on a one-on-one to actually help you to go through this 411. It is such a powerful tool. So remember, this tool, it helps to remove the struggle. The 411 tool, to give you a quick little recap, 3 blocks on a page. Right at the top, detail the goal. Right underneath it, give me the milestone for the month. What is it that you want to achieve? You know that if you hit this milestone, you're on track to achieving that particular goal. And the 3rd block at the bottom, those are the actions that you're going to do in the week. And the reason why it's a 411, 1 goal, 1 monthly milestone, and the weeks, well, there's 4 weeks in a particular month. So each week it could change. So make sure that you're going through it. But when you're setting up, the second tip, when you're setting up those activities, and it suddenly feels like that you need to do 12, 13, 15, 23 different activities, pull them out. Create what we call a success list. Because you've ultimately just written a to-do list that we're so powerful people that can do. We go through that list. We extract what we should do, because it should do to achieve that monthly milestone, to put us on track to achieving that goal. And it's only those items that will then be in the week. And that final tip, and it's really the tip that brings us all together, is having that weekly cadence where you review that 411, making sure that you understand what's working and what's not working so that you can make those improvements the next week. Do that on a Friday morning. I've always found it to be the most powerful time, and I do it personally. And then do it in a group. You'll find that the group activities really brings that culture and everybody together. So what gets scheduled gets done, because now that you've got these items, remember I asked you that question, does your current calendar truly show what matters, or does it just feel urgent? You can take those activities and you can put it into their paper calendar, or you can put it into your digital calendar so that it's always there and you know exactly the activity when you come to your desk. Once you've done it, mark it off. Make it a habit of actually marking it off. When you review every week, you'll know what works, what doesn't work. You'll see how your progress starts moving forward. And as the author, as Gary Keller said, until your one thing is done, everything else is a distraction. Now, just remember, before we leave this particular session, I want you to take one thing from this particular session and implement it. Schedule it. Whether it's just drafting that 411, whether it's booking a call with me, whether it's actually just identifying that to-do list and converting it into a success list. Just take one, schedule it. It's that commitment that's going to get you going forward. Remember, learning only creates awareness, which is fantastic. but it's the actions that actually creates results. I want to look forward to seeing you in our next session. So it's cheers for now.